Hey there. So we're going to talk about our fertilization notes, packet page 77 and 78. I have gone ahead and I have glued packet page 78 straight down, and then I taped packet page 77 on top like a little hinge so that I can still see both set of notes. So when we're talking about gamete production, over here on the left, we actually have what's called spermatogenesis. Right, this is production of sperm. So we can see here in meiosis 1 and meiosis 2 that at the end, we end up with 4 haploid gametes, but specifically, we have created sperm. So this is meiosis that would occur in males, the testes, to create sperm. Notice that when the cells are dividing in meiosis 1 and meiosis 2, the cytoplasm is dividing evenly to produce even sized cells or equal sized cells. So they're all the same size. So this is spermatogenesis for males. So meiosis for males to make sperm. All right, so to make sperm. Over here on the right-hand side, we have what's called oogenesis. This is going to be meiosis that creates eggs. So for females, so meiosis 1, meiosis 2. But notice that when the cells are dividing during meiosis 1 and meiosis 2, the cytoplasm does not divide evenly, producing one giant cell, right, the egg, and then 3 tiny cells that are called polar bodies. These polar bodies that are made are not used in fertilization to create offspring. Technically, a polar body could be fertilized by a sperm, but it would not result in an offspring. Most polar bodies are basically going to be discarded as junk by the body, and so leaving just the single egg to undergo fertilization. So oogenesis, right? We are making, right, the egg for the female. So in males, for spermatogenesis, we get 4 functional sperm, but in oogenesis for the female, we only get 1 functional egg because almost all of the cytoplasm, right, is divided into that one cell, right? We can see how giant this cell is versus the polar body. So we only get 1 functional egg in females, right, for oogenesis, but in males, right, we do get 4 functioning sperm. Once meiosis is finished, right, now that we have our actual haploid gametes, right, we're human, so the sperm is going to have 23 chromosomes. The egg or ovum, same thing, egg, ovum, right, they each have 23. So if the sperm and the egg combine, we end up with a zygote, right, which is just the first cell that is made. And we come back to having our diploid number of 46 to have a normal, healthy offspring. And this process, when the egg and the sperm join together, is called fertilization. I think I spelled that a little wrong. I forgot an I, sorry. Fertilization. So egg and sperm joining together to create the zygote. That is called fertilization. I want to take a couple handwritten notes. So what I'm going to do is on the back side of my first page 77, I'm just going to write down some handwritten notes. Okay, so Okay, so on the back side of page 77, I'm just going to write down steps of sexual reproduction. Make sure I spell everything correctly this time. So step 1, right, gamete production, right, and this is done in meiosis, right, meiosis 1, meiosis 2, to actually create the gametes. Oh, see, and I spelled gamete wrong. Man, I'm not doing well this morning. So gamete production, right, creating the egg or the sperm in meiosis. And then step 2, fertilization, right, taking that haploid sperm, joining it with the haploid egg, and getting a diploid zygote, right? So sperm with the egg, right, giving us our zygote, that first cell to result. Step 3, going through mitosis. So basically, the zygote divides again and again and again, right, over and over again, to make lots of cells. So, right, I'd go from kind of having, I wonder if I can draw this out, right, a single cell, right, it would divide, and I'd end up with 2 cells, and then it would divide, and I'd end up with 4 cells, and it'll divide, right, and I keep going and going and going until I've got, I go from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16, right, constantly dividing exponentially to create more and more cells. And then eventually, step 4, we get to differentiation, right? So the cells in the developing embryo, cells in the developing embryo begin to turn on or turn off tissue specific genes. As a result, the cells in different areas of the embryo begin making different proteins. And as a result, these cells differentiate into different specialized structures. Ooh, that was a lot. So we talked about back in DNA about gene expression and how certain genes are turned on or turned off by the cell in order to create the different types of cells that our body needs, like a nerve cell or a muscle cell. So that differentiation, that turning on or off of these genes, starts at the very beginning of life, at the very beginning of this embryo, in order to create all of the different organs and body parts that we need to grow and develop into a healthy baby and human. So some of the cells in the embryo, right, as it's going through mitosis, as it's dividing again and again, some of those cells will turn on genes in order to become skin and to form our organs. And then other cells, right, they'll turn on certain genes in order to make our nerves and our spinal cord and our brain. So all of these cells, right, that are going through mitosis and dividing and growing bigger and bigger and bigger, they are turning on and off these genes in order to create all of these different specialized structures that we need and have as humans. So pretty cool. So that's it for our notes here on fertilization, sexual reproduction. So again, I have glued down page 78 just straight down into my notebook. 77 I taped on top like a hinge. And then, of course, I've got my handwritten notes here on the back side as well. If you have any questions or concerns about anything with fertilization or sexual reproduction, please let me know. Thank you.